What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Keegan and Company podcast. For those who are new to the show, my name is Keegan Hipgrave, and in this episode, we are talking to professional boxer Skye Nicolson. Such an incredible conversation. We talked about the reality of social media, the importance of friendships, and pressure. More so, the pressure that we put on ourselves. Huge props to Skye for just being so open and honest and really vulnerable in this episode. It was really cool to see another side of Skye that I haven't seen before. So I hope you guys really enjoy this podcast. If you guys are new to the show, if I could get you to hit that little subscribe button on whatever platform you listen to this podcast on, if it's YouTube or Apple or Spotify, it really does help us grow this platform and grow the audience and just have some incredible conversations like I had today. Enjoy the episode.
How funny is the tan line from my work?
Do you have a bad one? Oh, no way.
That's the real colour of me.
What the hell? Can we get a visual on that? Pull that up to the camera. That is wild. That's a great way to start.
That's outrageous, isn't it?
I'll tell you what, that's a great way to start the podcast. Skye Nicolson, welcome to the podcast. How you feeling?
I'm good.
We're just discussing Whoop tan lines. Mine isn't too bad.
Yeah. Oh.
But I keep mine on. Is that a...
Yeah.
But you
I
just...
keep mine on, clearly.
Yeah. But yours is wild. I've never seen a tan. That's going to be one of the worst tan lines I've ever seen on a Whoop. But that's good. It means you don't take it off.
24/7.
How are you feeling? You've just come back from a pretty awesome little weekend away. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been an extensive holiday, I feel. Like it's just been holidays back to back for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
No complaints from me.
Yeah.
But no, it's been good. It's been good to just have some downtime, have some chill time, have some family time, friends time. I think I needed it. So no, it's been really good and I feel refreshed and ready to get back to work.
It's so cool, because we're here in sunny London, over from Australia. And even I was telling you before, I was like, it's kind of like we're in Australia at the moment. Like the sun's out, it's beautiful. And then when you got out of the cab or the Uber, I was like, you look so tan. I was like, what's going on here? I was like, isn't UK supposed to have the worst weather? But hey, everyone's looking healthy. It's probably the holiday.
To be fair, I haven't been in the UK.
Yeah, that's right.
But the weather's actually it's good at the moment. When I was on the Gold Coast recently, it was raining the whole time I was there. So I actually thought, you know what, maybe London's not so bad after all.
Yeah, gotcha. How are you finally settling in here? You've been here for 3 years now. How are you finding it?
I feel very settled now. I think it's kind of forced me to grow up a lot.
Yeah. In what way?
Just living in another country on my own. I'd never lived by myself before I packed up and moved to the other side of the world. So it's definitely been a big growth experience, I think, for me. But yeah, I feel very settled here now. I feel like I've got a really good community around me, really good friends. And yeah, it's a nice home away from home feel here now, which is good.
Do you find it's easier to come over here because your parents are from here, right? Dad's Scottish, mum's from England.
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah,
does that make it easier?
It did. It definitely helped the moving process. I was able to get citizenship and a passport, UK driver's license, bank account, all that stuff quite quickly and easily compared to probably other Australians that just wanted to move to the UK that didn't have that, which definitely helped the process. But yeah, the 3 years has flown by. It doesn't feel like I've been here 3 years.
It's also cool that we were talking about it before. Obviously, we're me and you. We're almost 30. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're getting to that time of our life, and I know just from a lot of experience, mates they get especially in the footy community, they get married young and they have kids young. And I was like, I feel like I'm still figuring it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So for you to be over here and live in another country, that's got to be so cool. Yeah, obviously you travel around so much with boxing, but it must be cool to be in another place, right?
It is really cool, and I feel like it is such a character building experience to do. I would probably recommend everyone to do it.
Really?
Go and live in another country, even if it's just for 6 months, 12 months. I feel like you learn so much about yourself, and it kind of forces you to be in an uncomfortable situation and learn to adapt. So definitely character building.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, I feel like it's very easy in your 20s, especially late 20s, to kind of feel like maybe your timelines, you're falling behind. Like friends, like every other day you're seeing in your newsfeed friends getting engaged and married and pregnant, kids, birthday parties, and it's like, I have a dog.
Yeah. You're a full-time dog mum.
I'm a full-time dog mum.
Yeah. Little Tito, shout out.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I look at my life, I look at what I'm doing, I'm traveling the world, very career focused, and yeah, I wouldn't change anything I've done, and I don't have any regrets. I don't feel like I'm behind. I feel like everyone's on their own timeline, and I'm absolutely just really enjoying the whole process.
Do you float? Because I mean, like, it's, I get what you're saying. Like, I'm in a very similar position as well. But do you float in between like those headspaces of like seeing your friends and your family, like having kids, and you're like, oh, like, is that something that I want to do? Like, boxing's obviously like my career and I'm focused on that. You want to do that so well. Yeah. Do you float between the two at all? Has there been any times where you float between the two?
Of course. I think it's only like natural to do that and to feel a certain way when you're, I guess, focused on one pathway, and it can be very different to, I guess, the majority of what other people do at this time in your life. But I feel like for me, boxing and being an athlete is such a short career and such a young person sport that it's now or never. And I feel like everything else, there's still time for all of that. I feel like I really need to just like focus and dedicate the next 2 or 3 years to my career, to the sport, and I've got plenty of time for all that other stuff. So that's kind of like what refocuses me sometimes if I do start to think, like, am I like neglecting other areas of my life for boxing?
I feel like you hit the nail on the head just before you're like you've got time, and there is time to do that stuff. Like we're in this time of our lives where like we're only this age once, like outside of baby Tito, it's like we don't have any real crazy responsibilities in terms of having children and a family and all the outside pressures, where it's just like we're young now, like let's go for it. I was having this conversation with some friends at the moment, like, because similar to you, like, I love this thing, like this podcast. This is like my little baby, and I want to travel with it. You know, like we're over here in London. We're doing a week of just like podcasting and training with like cool crew,
which is amazing that you can just go and do that.
So what? Yeah. Like, and to be honest, like when I was playing footy, I never thought that was possible. Like I thought that I'd settle down and have kids young and have like, you know, do all the ticklish little things, like buy the house and do all the things. And then it wasn't since like leaving, I was just like, actually, you know, like that's probably not it. Like at the moment, like down the track for sure, but at the moment, like let's settle in and do it now while we can.
Exactly the same as me. Yeah.
You mentioned living overseas makes you like, I guess, like learn about yourself more. Yeah. What are the little things that you reckon you've learned about yourself in the last couple of years?
I feel like it's kind of just forced me to grow up a lot, I think, like taking on the responsibility of a household, bills, chores.
Washing.
Mum's
not doing the washing anymore.
I don't have a personal laundry lady. My favourite part about going home. Yeah. Going back to mum doing my washing for me. No. It's probably more that than anything. Like just actually being a real adult, I guess. Because when you're 21 and you're still living at home, it's you think you're an adult, but really you're just a kid we were having with an adult age.
Yeah. we were having that conversation at coffee before. We were just like, we're like, you know, we've been around for a little bit, but we're still figuring it out. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Definitely still figuring it out. But I think, moving to the other side of the world and into your own place, living by yourself, it kind of does force you to grow up. Getting your priorities in order. Yeah. Having routine and staying on top of things like bills and chores and laundry and all the things that you didn't really have to think about before. So it's all been a learning experience, I think.
Yeah, I love that. And hey, I'm excited to have this conversation today, Skye. I think it's very funny and kind of cool that like just two kids from the Gold Coast are now in like London. Like, what the hell? It's so random. But like before we go down, like, you know, the boxing and your recent fights and what's coming up, like I kind of want to know what it was like growing up in the Nicolson household. Like, you were born on the Gold. You were born in Logan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to put that out there because when I was doing my research, I was like, she's from the ghetto. Like she's from Logan, which is. And
Thanks,
I was talking to Toddy, who's I was doing our shooting today. He's like, "What's Logan like?" I was just like, "I got a lot of mates from Logan." It's kind of like, what would you relate it to over here? It's kind of like the hood over here. Respectfully to Logan, I got a lot of mates from Logan, but
yeah,
hey.
there's nothing wrong with Logan.
What was growing up like? That was
I never lived in Logan. I didn't grow up in Logan.
No.
I was just born there. I was in the hospital for a few hours.
I'm just taking a piss. I'm just taking
There's
a piss.
nothing wrong with Logan.
We're gonna have the whole of Logan after. I wish I didn't say that. We might have that out.
No, growing up in the Nicolson household. So I'm the baby, the youngest of 5, by quite a big margin. So the next oldest from after me, before me, was my sister, who's 9 years older than me.
Wow.
Obviously, if you don't know, had 2 brothers that passed away in a car accident a year and a half before I was born, so I never met them. Those 2 were the next in age. And then there's our oldest brother, Alan, who's 27 years older than me.
Wow.
So most people think he's my dad, but he's my oldest brother. So yeah, there's really big age gaps between us. So it was almost like growing up as an only child, but not. Yeah. My niece and nephew, the 2 children of my oldest brother, lived next door. My niece was born 6 months after me.
Wow,
so we
that's
basically,
cool,
yeah, she's my best friend in the whole world. We basically grew up more like sisters, really, with 2 sets of parents.
Yeah.
And Alan, her brother, is a couple of years younger. So us 3 were all quite close growing up. We all went to school together and boxed together as well.
Really?
As kids, which was cool. But yeah, no, I think I had a very typical Aussie upbringing. We lived out on acreage in Yatala.
Beautiful.
Yeah, nothing crazy or out of the ordinary. I tried lots of sports growing up. I was always very competitive. Was quite good at school. Got in trouble for back chatting and talking too much in the classroom.
I was going to say, what kind of student were you? Were you on the academic side, or you were the one piping up in the back?
So I was actually a bit of both.
Yeah.
I always did reasonably well at school. I got good grades. I was always like an A and B student, but I did always get myself in trouble for talking too much.
Yeah.
I was definitely a chatterbox. But I think even now, like, I have teachers, teachers that taught me as a child, and even in high school, I had teachers reach out to me sometimes. So I taught you in year 1, and I taught you in year 4 or whatever. And I think I had a pretty good. I guess. I think they liked me, my teachers.
You said you tried a bunch of different sports. What were the sports?
Yeah, so I tried literally every kind of sport you could think of, from cricket to netball to figure skating to futsal, swimming, dancing. So I wasn't really a girly girl. I wasn't really a tomboy. I kind of was like a real mix of both. I still am.
Yeah.
And yeah, I obviously always grew up around boxing. My family were always involved in boxing from my brother's boxing. But I never really saw girls boxing, so I never really even considered it being something for me.
Yeah.
Didn't really have any interest in it at all. I used to go to the amateur boxing shows every weekend, and I'd be like rollerblading at the back of the hall, did not care about boxing. But yeah, so when I started going into the boxing gym, my oldest brother's a boxing coach, and he was quite surprised at my natural talent and natural ability, the way, like how quickly I was picking it up and stuff. And that really excited me because I was very competitive. And I never like stayed in any sports for too long because I wasn't the best and I just wanted to be the best.
Really? Even at a young age?
Yeah. So even if I enjoyed the sport, my focus was on like winning and wanting to be the best. I don't think I was very good in team sports because of that as well. So when I started going in the boxing gym and getting that praise and being told that I had natural ability and talent was very exciting for me and became like a driving motivator for me. So when I started boxing and started winning, I was like, oh, I found my thing. And nothing else mattered anymore. Like I just loved boxing and I just loved winning, and I loved that feeling of like your hard work paying off when you win the fight. And that, I never looked back from 12 years old. I don't think I was out of a boxing gym for more than a few weeks from 12 years old till now.
I think that's an interesting conversation when we have success at a younger age, and that kind of like it's like what you said, like, oh, I'm good at something.
Yeah.
And then, because I think about that all the time, like when we're good at something, obviously we get the praise and that feels good. Like that's a good thing. And then usually that's when we like thrive and excel, and that's where we want to put a lot more of our efforts in. And I look at athletes like that. I think I was partly similar in that sense. But then I also look at the other side of the coin where you've got other athletes that potentially weren't so talented, but they're like, oh, I'm not that talented. I'm just going to have to work hard. And that was kind of the way I was thinking. I was just like, were you that naturally talented boxer, or did you just be like, obviously you work hard regardless, but you have to dig deep and grind it out?
So my brother Jamie, who has been like my idol basically.
He was an incredible boxer as well.
Yeah, probably one of the best ever amateur boxers to ever come out of Australia. And he had no natural talent or ability.
Gotcha.
So I grew up hearing about his story. Like he lost, I think like 14 out of his first 16 fights. And like dad was saying to him, if you don't win this fight, that's it. We're not going back to the boxing gym anymore. Like it's not for you. This is embarrassing. Like you're useless.
It's not a driving
you're no
force.
good.
Yeah.
And he just like showed up and showed up and showed up and showed up and ended up being like unbeatable.
Wow.
And an absolute talent. He was ranked number 1 in the world at one point as an amateur boxer, which is, I don't think any other Australian boxer has ever been. But yeah, for me, it was quite the opposite. And I kind of got to a stage in my later teens where I thought I could just rely on natural talent and ability. And I started missing out on teams, not making selections. And it was a big wake-up call for me that you can be naturally gifted and talented and have all of that there, but if you're not working hard as well, you're not going to make it. And that was kind of, the wake-up call that I needed to take it to that next level, to be elite, to represent Australia, to go and make the team for the Commonwealth Games, the Olympic Games, World Championships. So, there were definitely setbacks and losses there that helped me learn and grow and develop into the athlete that I ended up becoming.
What's that saying? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
one got drilled into me.
That one the hard way.
Yeah.
But isn't that's so cool that you learned that at a young age, right? Like you learned that when you were younger compared to, doing it in your, 20s, mid-20s when you want to be where you are now, right?
Exactly,
like that's such a cool place. I do want to touch on your brothers, if that's okay.
Of course.
I've heard you speak about them in recent interviews. If you don't mind me asking, like what happened, like if that's okay?
Yeah, so obviously my parents don't talk about that part a whole lot, but obviously I grew up knowing that the boys were driving to boxing training in Nerang, down the Gold Coast.
PCYC?
I think so, yeah. Nerang PCYC.
I used to train there.
Yeah. I've trained there a few times as well, They were driving to boxing training. I think it was like a Tuesday or a Thursday evening, and it was a really bad storm. I don't know the exact details of what happened, but all I know is there was a truck involved. And Mum and Dad had a knock on the door from the police. But again, it's not really ever talked about. I got told that when I was 7, maybe.
Yeah, wow.
Maybe younger.
Yeah.
And that was like probably the first and last I heard about that particular night.
But in terms of outside of the incident, were the boys talked about a lot in the house? Yeah.
So I obviously grew up with them, their lives being celebrated every day. So I grew up feeling like I knew them, just the same as everyone else in my family did. And Gavin was only 10, Jamie was 22, but even like meeting people for the first time that knew them and seeing the effect that they had on those people's lives as well, not just our family, but just people that knew them. I know how lucky and fortunate people were to have met them and knew them. Like they were just amazing people. And I do feel like I know them my own way, which is quite weird and funny to think about, I guess, because obviously they came and went before I was even a twinkle in mum and dad's eye.
Yeah.
But I feel like growing up I was a lot like Gavin. He was very much into like musical theatre and performing, and I was very much the same. I was singing the national anthem at all the boxing tournaments, and always wanted to be centre of attention and centre stage. I was in musical theatre and dance, and then as I got older, I became more and more like Jamie and went down the elite athlete path and went on to do very similar things to what he did in terms of Commonwealth Games, Olympic Games, World Championships, becoming a professional athlete. So I feel like, I have a lot of qualities that both the boys had, which I think is really nice for mum and dad and the family as well, to feel like they've kind of lived on through me in a way. But I feel like I didn't know them or meet them, but I definitely feel like I have a very close relationship with them in our own kind of spiritual way.
That's really nice to hear.
Yeah.
And it's also really nice to hear that you've got like almost the best parts of both of them as well.
Yeah.
And it must be really beautiful for your parents to see that as well. Like the musical, the pretty, like the beautiful side, but then also the training side as well. I think that is really beautiful. Is there any things that you have like taken from them, from like what you've heard from your parents, from the friends, that you've taken into like, I guess, your everyday life now? And it might not be, but
I think so. I feel like it's quite funny. Like mum told me one time when I was younger, like I was just so happy when we found out you were a girl, because I felt like we'd never have to like compare you to Jamie and Gavin, or you'd never have to like live up to any kind of expectations of them. Like you can just be your own person. And she was like, you came out and you're literally both of them in one person. And I like, that was the best compliment I could ever hear. Do you know what I mean? Like that was the best feeling to even hear that from mum, because I just know how loved and adored they were by everyone that knew them. I definitely feel like growing up hearing about Jamie and Gavin, the types of people they were, has definitely always been an inspiration for me. And I do always feel like I want to leave a lasting impression on the people that I cross paths with in my time as well, because I've seen that effect that they had on the people that knew them and loved them. And I want to have that same effect on people. I think it's a beautiful quality to have, to know that you've touched someone's life, and when I'm gone, people can talk about me in the same way that they talked about my brothers. If that makes sense.
I think, honestly, like I think the way your friends and family talk about you behind your back and like is exactly how you are, and sometimes like the biggest compliment that you can get.
Exactly.
In terms of like say if your teammates were talking about you behind your back, like what type of person you are, like what are the things you reckon they would say?
I mean, I would hope they would say nice things.
Or better question, what would you want to like leave behind in terms of like how you would want to be remembered?
I think I would want to be remembered as someone who had time for everyone, someone thoughtful and attentive, someone that someone could come to with anything and not feel judged or like they have to hide any parts of themselves. I feel like I'm a very open-minded person, and I feel like I'm very I want to make everyone feel welcome and comfortable whenever they're in my presence. Like, no matter who you are, I never want to see someone looking uncomfortable or like they're somewhere they don't belong.
Yeah.
And I do go out of my way to make sure like everyone feels included. I never want anyone to feel like they don't belong, if that makes sense.
Well, I feel like you're hitting it on the head, because I mean, like, you walking in here today, you had the big smile on your face, like, hey, how are you? Like, you had a really good energy about you, and I think that's awesome. And you know what my favorite thing about what you just said is you didn't mention sport or occupation or any of that. You focused on like the really beautiful, like, great things of like who someone should be as a person.
Yeah.
I remember there was this one question on Instagram that just like stuck out to me. It was just like, if you could describe yourself, there was two people like this. They're like, if you could describe yourself without using your nationality, your occupation, your hobbies, where you grew up, all these superficial markers that we put on, how would you describe yourself? And then the person was like, oh, that's such a good question. You know what I mean? Because it strips it right back down to your values of like wanting to be kind and wanting to make people feel comfortable, which is just like
those core qualities.
Right? And it's such a cool thing. Like, and I think like, I think that's so special, because like, people will forget, you know, what you did in the ring or in the occupation, but like the way that like you make them feel is so important.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's something I really do try to take with me, because at the end of the day, like, any athlete can go out and win championships and set records and do all these things, but it's the ones that kind of remain themselves through it all, through the success. Like Katie Taylor's a really good example as well. She's arguably the best female boxer of all time, and she's still like the most humble, down-to-earth person. Not like all her success, the money she's made, the fame, like nothing's changed her. She'll still stop in the street and spend 5-10 minutes talking to a young girl that looks up to her. And she did it for me when I was 13, 14 years old. And that stuck with me. And I feel like that's, again, been something that's inspired me to make sure that I always stay true to myself, stay who I am, stay humble, give people the time of day, make people feel important. I think that's better than any championship or record you could set. And it's gonna, that's gonna be your legacy at the end of the day, more than any of the stuff you can do in the ring or in your sport.
I love that. I think that's so beautiful. You mentioned like the people that you surround yourself with. Who are the people that you lean on when times get tough? Yeah,
for me, I would say my family, my team, and my friends. I think I have a really, really cool, diverse circle around me of people of different ages, from completely different like parts of my life and areas of my life. And I have people that I can lean on for whatever I'm going through, whether it's something in boxing, something personal, whatever it might be. And I'm very grateful, and I know I'm very lucky to have such good people around me. I think it's so important to have people who genuinely want the best for you and care about you, because especially in sport, and I think when you're at that top level as well, it's a lot harder to find. And there are a lot of people that are maybe around you for the wrong reasons. And it's really important to have those genuine people that you know are going to be there for you no matter what happens. And they're there for you through the good and the bad times.
Yeah. You had a post that you put out saying true friendship is a sturdy bridge that stands strong through any storm, built on trust, laughter, and unwavering support. It's not about being inseparable, but being there when it counts. Being there that counts the most. #grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Well, yeah, basically what I just said.
That's what I mean.
I am very grateful to have really, really good people that are there for me through the storms as well as the nice sunny days.
Yeah.
So I think that's also been a big, I guess, a big weight off my shoulders in the moving to the other side of the world, has been having that here as well. Because obviously I always had a great support system back home in Australia, and I grew up there. I spent my whole life there. So I had like those bonds and those friendships and relationships that had been built over my whole life. But to have that here now with people that I've only known for the past 3 years and know that I can count on those people with absolutely anything, and know that they would be by my side. I think that's very like special to have that and to find that as an adult as well. Yeah.
I was telling you before, we had a really cool podcast with Mary Fowler recently, and we were discussing friendship and the importance of it, obviously, but also like the length of friendship, and knowing that like just because someone has been in your life for a long time doesn't mean like they don't, like obviously they matter, but you can have like really short friendships that are super important, and you have really great connection. It's just like you can be what is this saying? I forgot. Don't worry. But but you know what I mean? Like you don't need to have a friend, like long friendships I think are important, but then having like close friends, especially when you come over here to a new country, like so important.
100%. I feel like it's definitely been one of the best parts of my move here. Obviously my career has been amazing. But I don't think life would be as enjoyable as it has been if I hadn't made those connections. To have really good, genuine people around me. And like I said, it's hard to find that, especially in the sports industry and everything else that kind of goes with that. But to find that as an adult when you've moved to the other side of the world, I'm very grateful to have like really good, strong friendships.
It's also like it's harder for adults to make friends, right? Like it's harder. Like, you know, when you're a kid, you slap someone on the shoulder, you're like, hey, we're best mates now. You know what I mean? Like how
That's basically what I did.
I was going to say, does it change when you're an adult? But you're like, oh no, you just tap someone, let's be mates. I was going to ask, how do you make friends as an adult for you? Like, and especially for someone who's like in the sporting industry, right? Like, I imagine that's probably can be a little bit more trickier to see, like through the bullshit sometimes. Like, how do you go about making friends? Sounds like a very weird question, but you know what I mean?
I just tap them on the shoulder and say, let's be friends. I don't know. I just feel like you're meeting people all the time. And there's certain people you meet where you just kind of click instantly. You kind of have that natural flow of conversation. And I guess you have to be a little bit more proactive when you've moved to the other side of the world. And you need to build that circle of people around you. So when you do come across those people and you meet those people that you kind of have that instant connection with, it's just kind of, I guess, investing in that and going, you're actually really cool and I want to spend more time with you. And I guess making the effort to continue that beyond like surface level. So that's kind of what naturally happened with me and my friends that I've made out here. Obviously, I've pretty much met them all through boxing because I'm in the boxing scene. Naturally, that's just how it happens. But I feel like it is a little bit like that. Like, hey, let's be friends. But you kind of know. There's a lot of people that you come across where it stays surface level, and they're acquaintances and they're great, they're nice people, whatever. But there's certain people that come into your life and you kind of want to keep them there, and I feel like you kind of know straight away.
I think you also got different friends for different things, right? Like you got friends who you'll tell everything to, like they get all the vomit, like they get all, they get it all. And then you also got the friends who like, you know what, sometimes you just need like a really good laugh, you know what I mean? So I think you have different friends for different things. On similar themes of friendships, typically we like to get like voice memo questions from our friends.
Okay.
So we do have a voice memo question for you.
Okay.
Hello, my Skye Nick. How are you? The question I've got for you is, how do you cope with the demands of social media like Instagram or whatever? Because in this day and age now, people truly believe if you don't post it, you don't post a story or whatever, it means you ain't doing it, like for the likes of training and God knows what. So, how does it make you feel, first of all? And secondly, how do you battle that when people are palming you off saying you're not training and you're not doing what you're saying you're doing?
Macy Rose.
Go on, Macy Rose.
Yeah, Macy Rose, one of the greats.
I love her so much. And a good question, and obviously something that I've really kind of faced recently. I think coming over here and turning professional definitely put me in the public eye a lot more than I'd ever experienced before, and that's rapidly grown over the last few years. So the hate and negative comments and abuse
Really?
online was very new territory for me, and definitely something that I didn't really expect or prepare myself for.
Can you give me an example?
How
long have you got?
Yeah.
Really?
Literally, like, I hate giving it airtime, to be honest, because I just feel like a lot of it is just someone that wants a reaction or a response. And I do get a lot of love and a lot of support. And I really do try to just focus on that, because there's so many amazing people that follow my journey, that support me, that are constantly sending really positive, like, nice messages. So for me, like, I don't want to give the time and energy to the negative stuff, but I have received a lot of negative stuff over the last few years, but obviously especially since facing my first defeat recently, which we'll touch on, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And me taking a little bit of time away since that fight to be with family and friends, to enjoy some downtime, be away from the gym. But yeah, I started getting messages the last couple of weeks like, are you ever going back to the gym? Are you just an Instagram model now? Are you even going to fight again? I can't believe you lost. You're a loser. How does it feel to lose? Haha. Like, just like... and I have been training.
Yeah.
I'm not posting about training every day because why do I have to?
Yeah.
Why do I need to? I'm not preparing for a fight right now. I'm living life. I've just had a fight. Yes, I'm in the gym most days. Do I post about it every day? No.
Yeah.
When I'm in training camp, yeah, it's all I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's all I'm focused on. Right now, I'm not. I'm living my life. I've got that balance. I'm in the gym. I'm going on holidays. I'm doing a bit of everything.
Yeah.
And it's kind of frustrating that I feel like I have to answer to that and prove that I'm doing what I'm doing. I took like 5 or 6 days last week off social media completely. I just deleted the apps off my phone. The accounts were still active, but I wasn't posting. I was in the boxing gym every day. And I just needed that break from reading negative comments and stuff. And yeah, I went back on because I was in Santorini and I wanted to post pictures from my holiday.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was when I was like kind of flooded with all these like negative comments and messages about why aren't I back in the gym yet?
Yeah.
You lost. You shouldn't be on holiday living your life. You should be in the gym trying to get back what you lost. And it's like, well, I am in the gym.
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, because it's like, it's almost just like if you're not posting about it, you're not doing it right. Whereas just like some of the best gains you get is when no one's looking, right?
Yeah.
And it sucks that you have to justify it, because you can tell like the emotion in your voice, right?
Yeah.
Like, and respectfully, like, I also think like, because I've seen a lot of people in similar situations, if they lose a game and they go out for dinner, or if they go out, like, what are you doing out? Like, well, you should be at home crying yourself to sleep. Where I was like, that's not going to help me. Like, respectfully, like...
respectfully, I am still crying myself to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm just doing it in Santorini with a really nice view.
Yeah. But obviously having time off, like after a fight, like after a huge training camp is so important. But you read the comments? You gotta get rid of that.
So, I mean, I guess that's why, again, it was a good question from Maisie. Like, I think social media has had a big impact on me, and probably more so recently, but since turning professional, I went from having like 30,000 Instagram followers to nearly 500,000. So it's like, there's a lot more.
Yeah.
Positive stuff, but there's also a lot more negative stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I have let it affect me, and I maybe didn't even realize, or I convinced myself that it didn't affect me, but it was affecting me.
Yeah.
And it has been affecting me. And I think moving forward, it is something that I'm going to be, I guess, removing myself from.
Yeah.
So I think my next training camp, I probably will be completely off socials. I think I'm going to have someone posting for me to keep my loyal, nice, positive, supportive fans updated about what I'm doing, about how training camp's going, but I'm not going to actively be on social media. I'm not going to be reading comments. I'm not going to be reading messages. And just going to be 100% dialed in and focused on my life, my real life, not my social media life. And I think it's just so important, again, to just like remind people that what happens in a person's day is like here, and what you see on social media is like here.
A little highlight, right?
Like you're only seeing what I want you to see. Everyone's only seeing what everyone wants them to see, what they're putting out there. And you don't know what's going on in that person's life. You don't know what's going on in that person's day. And I think it's so important to like keep that in mind. Just because someone's not posting in the gym every day, it doesn't mean they're not in the gym every day. And just because someone's posting holiday pictures doesn't mean they're happy and thriving and like having a great time. Like I said, they're probably still crying themselves to sleep.
It seems like this is such a great like learning piece, right? Because typically when we have similar types of conversations, it's like the person's gone through like a hard thing, but then they've gone through the other side and they've got all the learnings. Whereas like you're right in the thick of it, having just finished your holiday, a well-deserved holiday, might I add, and then getting these and getting these all these messages. But I think it does sound like a cool learning for you, because obviously it's going to make you a better person, right? But it's cool like the way you're starting to think about, all right, well, for the next training camp, I'm going to have someone look after my socials. Like I want to portray, like you're at the end of the day, like you're a role model for so many young people coming through, or even not even just young crew, like us 30-year-olds that are getting close, you know what I mean? So I think it's important to showcase that and showcase what you're doing, because like the power of social media is so incredible. And like, I think I might have mentioned before jumping on, it's just, I think athletes are so incredibly influential, in not just in Australia, but on a global stage, right? So if they can be seen like working hard or even sharing things that they're struggling with, like what you've been discussing about, it's like the other people, like the rest of us, is like, that's fine and that's normal. And if Skye can talk about it and go through it, and then then so can we. And like and even just find like little things that you did to help through that, like even the stuff about talking to your friends and stuff. I think that's why these conversations are so important. Yeah,
100%, I agree. And like I know the power of social media, and I know the positive influence I have, and I do get amazing messages from I don't even want to say young girls, but like literally men, women, girls, boys, all ages, from all different parts of the world, telling me how I have inspired them or influence them in some way. And I follow a lot of the younger girls, especially the girls back home in Australia, and just like seeing their Instagram stories of them training, and they post such similar like stories and posts to me, and I love it.
That's cool.
And it makes me so happy, and I'm like, I love that I can be that person for someone, and I'm not going to remove myself from that because of horrible people that want that. It's just giving them what they want. But I think for me it will be a case of posting, not reading. And yeah, I do still want to have that influence, and I want to show what I'm doing in the gym and when I'm preparing for a fight, because I think it is important to show that, and I think it does inspire people. But I need to protect my peace, and I think preparing for a fight, all those little 1% add up, and that's going to be another little 1% of taking back my peace in preparation for my next fight. There's a lot of little 1% actually that we want to fix and change and add to next time. But yeah, I think the social media stuff's definitely one of them.
You mentioned the fights. I would like to talk about your last fight, if that's okay. I know you're probably sick of talking about it by now, but I am curious because it did get a lot of traction on social media and news, right? Like I like boxing. I'm not a diehard boxing fan.
Me either.
Yeah, so why we get on so well. But I mean, like, it was popping up on my socials all the time, and because I don't know much about the space. I didn't know much about your background until recently, and then your opponent, Tiara. Sorry, apologies. But just what I thought was really interesting was just the dynamic between you guys.
Yeah.
Where she was obviously super aggressive, in your face. A lot of just, I guess, like shit talk.
Yeah.
But from the outside looking in, and obviously I wasn't in there, but from the outside looking in, it just didn't seem to bother you at all. You just seemed like really cool and relaxed, and like you were smiling, and you were like, oh yeah, just like keep talking, like we'll just like do it in the ring.
Yeah.
Like, how was that for you, the lead up to the fight? Because you talk about the 1%ers, like does that impact you at all? Do you just not bother you? Yeah.
So for me, I'd never experienced anything like that.
Wow.
And I kind of half expected it just from her interviews before fight week, the way she was on social media, and was in interviews leading up to the fight. So I did half expect it, but I'd never really had someone in my face like that.
Yeah. Even in amateurs?
No, especially not in amateurs. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
You don't even see your opponent till you're in the ring in the amateurs. There's no press conferences and face-offs and stuff. So that's in itself was all very new for me going to the pro scene, all the extra stuff. But that's the first time it's actually been aggressive. And yeah, I think similar to the social media stuff, I feel like I didn't think it bothered me or affected me. And I think I'd convinced myself it didn't, but I think it did. You're a Whoop wearer too, aren't you?
Big Whoop guy.
Yeah, so my stress monitor was through the roof in fight week. Sleep stress, which is really weird for me. Like I don't normally have any sleep stress. I'm a very peaceful, deep sleeper. And fight week, like physiologically had me stressed.
Yeah, it's crazy because the data doesn't lie, right?
Yeah.
Like you might be able to convince yourself that you're asleep, but looking at the data, you can't.
And I think that seeing those numbers probably didn't help either. So I think in hindsight, I'm probably not going to look at the numbers in fight week. But at the end of the day, seeing them or not seeing them, those numbers were what they were, and they were always going to be what they were. So I feel like even though I had convinced myself I was unbothered, I think I'm human, right?
Yeah.
You've got this random person in your face telling you what they're going to do to you, and it's all very aggressive, was very new to me.
Yeah.
And I think now in hindsight, if that were to happen again, I would be fine. But I think it was just the fact that it had never happened before, and I wasn't really sure how to respond or react to it.
Well, it was interesting because I listened to your conversation with Mark Boris in the lead up. I think it was like a week before or something, like 2 weeks before.
About a week before, yeah.
So you were like right in the thick of it, and you guys talked about it, and you mentioned how you were unbothered, and I was thinking, and then I started thinking broadly about, because this is obviously a pretty common thing in the fighting, UFC, boxing, where there is like a lot of shit talk. And I was thinking about it, I was like, I feel like that would affect me. Like no matter how much it is to, I guess, like probably sometimes sellified or like I'm not oblivious to that. But I was like, regardless, like it can get so wild. And I was like, I don't feel like, personally, I don't feel like I have that in me. Maybe I'm just too soft. But I just looked at it and I was just like, that would 100% affect someone. Especially like in terms of like people who are like in tune with their emotions, you know, which it seems like you are.
Yeah. So I think for me, it was probably more the fact that it had never happened before. more than anything, I think that's probably why it affected me.
Yeah.
But it's also not an excuse. Like, it's mental warfare and it's part of the sport. So for me, I have to take it as a learning opportunity that can happen.
Yeah.
And that probably will happen more now because people probably saw that it did affect me and affected my performance. So it's overcoming that and learning how to deal with that next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, my numbers were crazy. Like, I had an incredible training camp. I was in the best shape of my life. From January 1st for 10 weeks, I had probably 85% green recoveries.
Wow.
The rest were yellow, no reds.
Yeah.
And then fight week came around and it was like red recovery every day. I woke up on like 13% recovered on fight day.
Whoa.
Like, bad. Everything was just like, resting heart rate was through the roof. HRV was in the dirt. And I was just like, shit.
Yeah.
Basically. Oh my God. Like,
even subconsciously, that's got to play a part in it as well, right? Yeah.
Like, I remember like mid-fight, I was in the corner in the break between like round 6 and 7 maybe, thinking, fucking what a day for a red recovery.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't be thinking like that, but the numbers don't lie. So the stuff that happened that week had an effect on me physically.
Yeah.
And again, it's not an excuse, of course. I didn't have a great performance. I wasn't myself. The numbers showed that. The performance showed that. The results showed that. But all I can do is learn from the whole experience, what affected me, why it affected me, how it affected me, and put in things in place so that like those 1% will be more in my favor next time, if that makes sense. I was sitting reading all the face-off comments. I was sitting reading all the messages like about what happened in the lead up to the fight during fight week. And it's just so much extra wasted energy and stress that my body didn't need when it's already making weight, dealing with her in my face, dealing with the pressure of the homecoming, defending the world title, so many things. And it was like too much.
Yeah. It's I do want to get into the learnings that you took out of it and what you will apply for the next time. But just before that, I went to Whoop HQ last year in Boston. It's like this beautiful facility, and we did a couple podcasts with their leadership team.
Amazing.
So Emily Capitalupo, who's head of research, algorithms and data, Alexi Coffey, who's oversees a product, their athlete manager, a few other athletes, and even just to talk shop, obviously, but then also to talk about athletes and how other athletes are wearing it and managing stress and like that whole piece. Because a big part of the conversation I have with people who wear them, especially those really high performers, like think Olympians, boxers, people who train for this incredible amount of time to be on in like one moment, crazy. And I was like, big question. Well, what happens when you're in the red, or like what happens when you're in like on that day? Like it's like obviously they're like. Some people like really read into the data, and when you read into it more, obviously it has an effect on you. But at the end of the day, we'll learn from it. But also, but also like it's one thing to be in the red, but you can still you can still show up and turn up. But it just makes it harder to do. Yeah. Like that, it's like if you're training and you're doing a 100-meter sprint and you're in the green, of course you're gonna have those like little couple percent. Yeah. And in the ring, I imagine it's probably just like those little couple percent, right? So it was interesting, those conversations.
And that was kind of my self-talk on fight day. Yeah. It was, I've sparred really well in the red. It's nothing. It doesn't matter. Like if I wasn't wearing a whoop, I wouldn't know any different. It's fine. But like I'd had a 9-hour sleep. I really shouldn't have been. Yeah. Like the recovery was just crazy to me. Like there was a lot going on, obviously internally, that I had convinced myself wasn't going on, but it was, and you couldn't hide from it. So yeah, I think for me, it definitely still bothered me subconsciously. And I think knowing the numbers is amazing, and I love having the data. Yeah. But again, in hindsight, I'll probably take the app off my phone or connect it to someone in my team's phone, just so I'm not looking at the numbers during fight week. So it's just one less thing to conserve energy and stress. So yeah, again, a learning thing. But I love the Whoop and I love the data.
Yeah.
I think it's really like elevated my training, my recovery, and my preparation for fights. But maybe not reading too much into it on fight week where you can't change it anyway and it is what it is. Yeah. It's probably better to not spend extra energy and stress.
Yeah.
Like evaluating the numbers.
No, I know exactly what you mean. How are you now? Like after you've processed it all, you reflected on it. How is it sitting with you? Like what did you learn from that? And I guess probably what I'm angling at is like overcoming loss. Like is that something for you to move on? Seems like probably not.
No. It's been a process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot. Sorry.
Do you want to take?
Yeah.
Yeah. No stress.
Take time.
Thank you.
Honestly, there's no stress.
Some days I feel really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a lot. There's I put a lot of pressure and expectation on myself. And I was saying to myself so many times in fight week, like you just said then, like it's crazy, like you can just have the most amazing preparation and be performing so well and it just not happen on the day.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd almost like convinced myself before the fight that there was all this pressure on that day, and I think it was hard. And I think the worst part was I knew I wasn't myself and I couldn't give the best of myself, and if that was any other day, I think it would have been a very different performance and a very different outcome. But yeah,
I think it's crazy the amount of pressure that we put on ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, we have all this like external pressure from, the media and people on social media, but I imagine probably the pressure that you put on yourself is probably more crazy than anyone, right?
Definitely. And I know my potential and I know my capability, so when you feel like you haven't like performed at that standard that you know you're capable of, it makes it a lot harder to accept. But yeah, I mean, I think I have struggled more than I expected to. And I've experienced loss plenty of times in boxing. Like I said to you earlier, I missed out on teams and I didn't qualify for events that I was certain I would. And I went to the Olympics to win the gold medal and just lost in the quarterfinals for a medal, and this one hurt so much more.
Why do you think that is?
I think because it almost felt a little bit out of my control. And in the past when I've lost, but I've given it everything and been my best and it just wasn't enough, you can almost accept it easier than when you know you're so much better and it just wasn't happening on that day for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think that's what's made it so much harder to accept, because I just know I'm so much better than what I showed on the night.
Yeah.
But that's elite sport as well. And that's something that, I've got to learn to deal with. And like I said, just picking out all those little 1% that could have even the smallest effect on me, going into a fight and making sure that I get everything that I can control right, so that whatever happens in there, I can know that I've brought my best possible self. And I think even though I thought I was bringing my best possible self on the night, there were obviously a lot of things that I could have controlled, like being on social media and reading into numbers and all the little 1% things that I could have controlled and didn't because I didn't know, and I needed that lesson. So yeah, I'm not there yet, clearly, but I'm dealing with it. It's been a process.
Thanks for sharing, Skye.
Yeah. Sorry about the crying.
No, don't you apologise at all. I think it's
embarrassing.
No, I don't think it's embarrassing at all. I think it shows pretty incredible, just raw emotion and just where you're at. And honestly, I think it's actually pretty brave for someone to be able to just talk so openly and honestly around where they're at. I think there's probably a lot of people who have been in really similar situations. So I am super grateful for just letting us know where you're at.
Yeah.
What I am curious to know is, what are the next steps? Where to from here? Like, what are the next couple of days? I don't mean to go. We've had some previous conversations in the last couple of days and talking about like when you're in the thick of it, when the analogy that they use is like when you're in like this dark tunnel and you can't see around you, and it's like you've really got two options, right? You can either pick up the chair and sit down and be in it, or you can look towards the light and just start taking like a couple steps forward. So my question's like, what are the next steps?
Yeah, I think that is exactly where I am now. So it's trying to reset my focus, have that new goal in place. And we've had some talks as a team the last couple of weeks about what we do next. This will be exclusive knowledge because I haven't actually publicly said anything about this yet, but we're looking at potentially changing weight divisions, which I never really expected. But I don't know if it was just the way I've been affected by loss, but I'm just naturally sitting a lot lighter.
Yeah, gotcha. I was going to say, would you go up or would you go down?
So most fighters would normally go up,
yeah,
but I'm naturally sitting 8 pounds lighter than I normally would. Maybe more, maybe like 10 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
I obviously didn't have all of the celebratory meals and I mean, I've been on holiday and I've been eating out, but I don't know, it hasn't been the same.
Yeah.
And my weight's been quite light, so we're going to monitor it and see if it's something that physically makes sense for performance-wise, and see what naturally happens with my weight now that I'm back in the gym, training regularly and stuff again. But we are exploring that option of potentially going down a weight division, which is exciting. A new challenge in itself as well.
100%. What's the usual time between fights? Because, excuse my ignorance, I have no idea.
It's normally I normally have 3 or 4 fights a year, so we are hoping to get out again early July.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the UK. It's been a while. So that will be cool. And I think we're talking about maybe not rushing into a championship fight. Like we were just touching on, there's a lot of things that I feel like we want to play with and change and trial. And I feel like an 8-rounder in a new weight division, kind of a little bit more low-key, less pressure, less expectation, less everything, to just kind of put all of those things that we want to adapt and change into almost like practice in a smaller fight before going back into championship fights. So
do you think that's I want to say like building confidence thing, but almost like almost just like getting the reps on the board in that division?
Yeah, so I think it will definitely be like a bit of a statement that I'm looking at super bantamweight. I think it'll be a chance for me to just go out and put into play all of the things that we want to fix and change from what went wrong. I've said that I still want it to be a competitive opponent. I don't want to just go out, I don't want a confidence booster in the sense that I'm just getting in with someone. For me, I still I think my best performances are against fighters that are coming in to win anyway. So so there's no opponent or anything picked yet. It's everything's kind of all been put out into the air, and the team's all talking about our next move. But I think the next fight will be a good indicator on if we want to stay at featherweight for championship fights or if we do want to look at super bantamweight. So it's kind of going to be like a little bit of a like tester feeler trial fight.
But it's also like how exciting.
Yeah.
That's like also
is.
like new challenge, like new thing as well. That
and
must
I
be
am
pretty
really
cool.
excited, and I feel like being back in the gym now, I've got like this new outlook, and I feel like I've come back from this whole experience with more knowledge, more wisdom.
Yeah.
And just knowing myself better as well. So I'm excited, and I feel like the deeper I get into camp, the further away I will move from what's happened, and I think every day is getting a little bit better, and I'm focused on what's next now, and I obviously will want that rematch. So that will depend on the weight divisions as well, and what's happening there. But she's come out and said that she has no interest in a rematch, which is quite funny. But I think that will be inevitable.
Give it time.
Yeah, but there's no rush. So I'm not bothered right now. She's not my focus. My career is going to, I guess, build and grow again without her. So it's fine. And so I'm excited. There's lots of little things in the works, and like I said, lots of lessons taken from what's happened, and lots of new stuff to kind of implement, and hopefully we see a more me version of myself in the next one.
Well, I'm very excited. And to be honest, I do think like hard things that we go through like do make us like better people. Like I look at all the people that I look up to, didn't have easy lives. Like, you know, like the people who I look up to the most, and I think we all look up to the most, like, you know, if you wanted to have the attribute of patience, you don't just get things given to you straight away, right? Like these traits that we want to have come from doing hard things. So that's why I think the power of doing hard things and putting yourselves in these types of positions, like it makes you a better person, right? Zooming out, like obviously taking yourself out of where we're at the moment, you might be 10, 20 years down the track. What do you think a great fighter looks like in terms of, you know, probably not so much physical, but in terms of how they carry themselves? Like what attributes do you think makes an elite fighter?
Like I kind of touched on earlier with you, like Katie Taylor for me has always been like a standout one, just someone who has like remained true to themselves, hasn't lost who they are among like as they've become successful and made money, and the fame and all of the stuff that comes with that. I feel like remembering the little girl or the young boy that just had this dream. And I think having that time for those young people that are looking up to you is so much more important. I think you can be a great champion in the ring and do all those things, but if you're not a nice person and you're not a good person, you don't stop in the street and give 5 minutes to someone who idolizes you and worships you. It's like, are you really a champion? So for me, that's always been something. I care more about how I make people feel than anything I'll ever achieve in the ring. And I think the greatest champions are always remembered for that as well. And definitely the people I look up to are the ones that have been good people as well. Do you know what I mean? Like there's been great fighters. They're not necessarily nice people.
Yeah.
And I think the ones that have always stuck with me and been a real role model and inspiration for me have been the ones that have stayed true to themselves and stayed humble, stayed down to earth, and remained good people in all of their success.
I love that. I think that's probably like one of the favorite things that I've heard like on this podcast. It's so important, right? Like
Yeah.
I think we're fortunate, like sport's a small world, not just in Australia, but obviously globally, like, right? Like, and we're fortunate enough to have some like really just like incredible athletes on this podcast, but also just like incredible people, right? And they have so much more of an impact, right? On the way people make the way they make people feel. But then on the other side, it's like you see the ones like the idols, and then you really get to know them. You're like, sucks. Like that's sad. So everything you just said, love, like to the people in the back, like you know what I mean?
It's so funny. Like Eddie Lamb, my boxing coach, he is the biggest boxing fan. Like literally like idolizes fighters and stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously we've been on the world tour and he's like just been like starstruck at some of the people that we've like come across and met and stuff.
Yeah.
And you just see the disappointment and like the way he feels about these fighters change when he's experienced the ones that don't give him the time of the day, or like almost like roll their eyes if he asks for a photo with them and stuff. And it's like, it's sad.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, it just opens your eyes to how that actually affects people. Like, what is 10 seconds, not even, out of your day for someone who idolizes you and thinks the world of you and thinks you're incredible to smile for a photo and say, yeah, it was nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Like, it's really not hard.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think seeing that and seeing the opposite side of it as well.
Yeah.
Is just that little nudge and that reminder. Don't ever be that person.
Yeah, you've got it. You're in the front seat of seeing all that. Hey, I'd love to know like what's a typical fighter's career? Like you're obviously like close to 30. Like how long would a fighter typically stay in the ring for? Or how long would you like to stay in the ring for? I've
always said 2028.
Yep.
In 2028, it'll be 20 years since my first fight.
Yeah.
So I feel like 20 years in the sport, I'll be ready.
Yeah.
But that's not that far away now. So
I've got so many more things I want to do.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to just like put a number on it or a date on it. I think everyone's so different.
Yeah.
The women's boxing compared to the men's boxing as well, like a lot of the greatest champions are like late 30s, early 40s in the women, whereas the men are almost done by mid-30s.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different, but also I do, like we were talking about earlier, I do want to do other things in life as well.
Yeah.
And women do actually have a bit of a ticking clock on that stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, like I would like to have achieved everything I wanted to achieve in the sport by 32, 33.
Yeah.
But again, I'll know. I'll know when it's time. And yeah, I'm not in a rush for the other stuff, but obviously at the same time there is a biological clock a little bit there as well. So.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. What does life look like after boxing in terms of occupation or in terms of living? Like, do you think about that at all?
I do a little bit. I think I'll always be involved in sport or boxing in some way.
Yeah.
Probably more like the media side of it, I think, is probably more where I would see myself after boxing. But again, I just feel like I'm not much of a planner.
Yeah, I like that.
Do you know what I mean? I just kind of, life takes me like in so many different directions and paths that I never would have planned for. And it's worked out all right so far.
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't really plan ahead too much with that stuff. I think life will take me where it takes me and I'll just enjoy the ride.
Did you ever think that like all this was ever going to be possible when you were a kid? Like
never.
It's crazy.
I never thought I would turn professional. I never thought boxing would be my career. I never even, when I started boxing, women's boxing wasn't in the Olympics and Commonwealth Games. I never even thought I was going to represent Australia at an Olympics or a Commonwealth Games. So like my expectations and planning has never been, it's never gone that way anyway.
Yeah.
It's never gone to plan. So I've just kind of let life take me. And it's been such a cool journey. Like, even when I turned pro, I was nervous and skeptical, and I was in my own little amateur boxing bubble where everything was comfortable. I was living in Australia, I was traveling with the Australian team and happy. So it was scary, but again, like, I'm so glad I did it. I'm glad I jumped. It's been the most amazing roller coaster of the last 3 years, but I wouldn't change it for the world. And I feel like life's constantly opening and closing doors. So it's like, you just got to keep going through those doors when they open and see what happens.
Oh, I love that journey aspect of it all, because it, like, we get so in our heads. I know it was something like you, but I know me and I know a lot of other friends. They like get so caught up with like, oh, I'm behind in what I'm doing. Like, I should be this much further ahead. Whereas just like when we're actually like in the present and enjoying that journey, like it's like that's the fun bit, you know. Like even for this, like this podcast, right? Like I love this so much. Like, and this has been like, I never thought that I would love anything like probably as much like since leaving footy. And since coming here, I was just like, oh, like respectfully, like I don't even give a shit about that. Like this, I get so much more passion and fulfillment at this. And it's like just the start. Like we're like 2 years old, and I feel like don't get in a rush to be like 5-10 years down the track. Like just enjoy right being here now, like getting to talk to you and all these other, like, not just, like I said, not just incredible athletes, but just like incredible people. So I love that piece. Enjoy the journey. Skye, thank you so much.
Thank you.
No, I honestly, thank you so much.
Thanks for making me cry.
No, it wasn't my intention at all. No, it was not my intention. I should have the napkins ready to go. But no, thanks for your time. It's been really lovely just like getting to know you and hearing your story. And thank you for just being open and honest and vulnerable on this episode. Like I know a lot of the times, like what we're trying to get across is like encouraging conversation and making people feel, I guess, like validated in a sense. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me.
Cheers. Fuck, what an episode. If you guys have made it this far, you would have been through all the peaks and valleys in that conversation. Again, huge props to Skye for being so incredibly open in this episode. I know I took so many little golden nuggets away from that chat. If you guys are still listening, I know you guys probably enjoyed this episode. Could I get you to hit that little subscribe button on whatever platform it is? Like I said, whether it's YouTube, Apple, Spotify, it is a really great way for us to help build this podcast and build this platform and just have more conversations like we just had. Then it is the only favor I will ever ask from you, and I'll see you next time.